All right, welcome to the relationship show. This woman writes this post. How do I know if feeling a disconnect is due to incompatibility or just my own issues slash insecurities that I need to work on? Do I call things off if I still feel so much anxiety after 6 months? So there's this comment on here I just read briefly about, I guess the guy's trying to like sext or something like that. So let's see where this takes us. Um, because guys thinking that sexting or dick pics or whatever they're trying to do, thinking that raises our attraction, it doesn't. It's a complete misrepresentation of, how women are attracted. So it's like that's not going to turn her on by sending stuff like that. Don't do it if you're a guy. Um, so just note that before we get started. She says, hi. She says she's 28. I have been seeing a guy who's 42 since November. Jeez. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. Anyway, we'll proceed. Things at first felt way too casual and hookup-y for me. And in February, I brought it up, after which point we discussed it, and both of us were on the same page, RE, wanting a relationship, and he started making a lot more effort. I started to really develop feelings for him, and a lot of our values and goals line up. I'm just so confused still about us and wondering if this confusion is a sign we are incompatible. We are 6 months in, and I still feel like I don't know where I stand. I still have never had an explicit chat about exclusivity, which freaks me out. I would say do that for sure, because it's been 6 months. So just bring it up. And oftentimes, women that I see will bring it up in ways that are like, where do you see us going? Or where are we at? Or, things like that just kind of hint at it. And then it's kind of just like a more low stress way to ask and kind of gauge where the relationship is. But definitely, it's been 6 months, and that's what you want. And then you've also talked about being exclusive, or at least at the beginning wanting a relationship, and you've already talked about that, but now it hasn't gone anywhere. For sure, bring that up. We are 6 months in. I still feel, yeah, okay. It feels like it's just assumed by both of us at this point. When he texts me, it often veers sexual. If we're talking about our day, he will always start sexting me at some point in the combo. That's just a horrible way to go, and it communicates that you don't understand how women are attracted to men. And what you'll notice is like older guys don't know this either if they've never been taught. This guy's 42, he's dating someone who's 28, and he's applying these principles that just communicate that he doesn't have a clue how attraction with women works. Because with men, sometimes it does work. So sexting or like sexy pictures, men are more visual. And so that can like turn them on or kind of validate that. Yeah, anyway, so it's like men are more attracted to like visual, where women aren't as much. It can be important to women, but not as much compared to men. And so he's acting in his own feelings out of his own regard because he's probably never been taught any of this stuff. And so he's thinking that if he sends these sexy, probably not sexy, but these like sexting pictures, then that's going to turn her on. It's just the wrong way to go. I've mentioned it to him, and he says he's just a very sexual person. She's trying to communicate that it doesn't turn her on, and he's completely ignoring this. Probably because she's hinting at this, not being direct. Hey, it doesn't turn me on that, you send me these pictures on like at random times or so frequently. And he's thinking that it's like actually building her attraction. But it again brings me back to feeling like he doesn't take me seriously. He's not listening to her. He's not making her feel understood because he's not picking up on her hints and her clues. I met one of his friends, and he's met my roommate. That's it. So that's not the best sign. It's like when you haven't met friends or family after 6 months, it's like, well, how committed are they to you? Sometimes it can be an indicator that a lower or dropping level of interest. Some people just have that personality. They're kind of reserved and kind of keep things private, but still, it's not the best sign. I feel like things could go either way. I'm so happy and comfortable with him and can see a future, and we're clicking so much one day. And then the next time we see each other, it's so off, I can't even describe it. Another thing is with women, it's not like their attraction like stacks in all the cases. So it's like if you showed up last week and you had a great time and everything went great, and now you think that because everything went great, then she's going to start off with that high level attraction again to you, and that actually rarely happens. So it's like you have to restart the process every single time you see each other. And so really you have to always be on your game and always be on your toes, as far as dating and relationships as well. Our conversation is so offbeat and not flowing. I feel uncomfortable and worry he's lost interest in me completely. I don't feel like myself. I sometimes even think I'm about to get ghosted by this guy when 12 hours go by and I don't hear back. Well, this guy could be trying to manipulate her or whatever, and being ingenuine, not being, kind of, ingenuine in that he's not busy, but he's like trying to communicate that he's busy. So that could be the case with what he's doing, especially if he does it constantly. It can come across as just manipulative. But oftentimes it does cause the other person to wonder. And so when she is wondering, even though he might be using this as a manipulative technique, she's still going to be wondering about him. And when she's wondering about him, then her attraction usually raises, or she is like has to work, or she is more intrigued, or has, yeah. And so it's like her attraction often grows when she's wondering. But if it causes too much, or the guy really does this as a technique and does it way too frequently, he comes across as a cold fish. And then when women can really pick up on these things, and it's so obvious that he's just a manipulative person, then self really respecting people will just walk away from a situation like that, because that person's just trying to serve themselves, not be the leader and serve the whole relationship, which includes him and her. Then there is another really great date, and I feel happy again. The cycle continues. Helpful context: I'm a pretty insecure person. Yeah, so he might be treating you poorly, and you just don't have the self-respect to walk away, out of fear that you might not find someone good enough, or not good enough, but as good as what you've got right now, or you're focusing on the fear and uncertainty of going back and finding someone new. There you go. Have always struggled with feeling not worthy of love and being uninteresting. Yeah, and unfortunately, what we fear, we often attract, because that's where our focus is directed in a lot of cases. I'm very introverted and find it hard to connect with people in general. I have tried therapy and intend to try it again with a different therapist. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to go get a therapist, you want to get one that is truly skilled and truly good. Because oftentimes it's like, well, just really with any job, it's like people just go through the motions in a lot of cases. And it's like, once they get their degree, now I'm done studying and I'll just like go practice, and I'm never going to get better, because I'm just going to basically get better through practicing and not like reading books or watching videos or constantly improving. And when people do that, it's like oftentimes they get into these patterns of just seeing the world how they see it themselves, compared to when you're always seeking new knowledge. It's like you have a perspective of what else can I learn from this, or you're aware of different things all the time and implementing these things into your practice and just further refining your truths. So just be careful on who you pick as a therapist, because sometimes they can give you advice that just isn't true, and can lead you down a path that will not work. My experience with like knowing therapists is a lot of them have their own issues themselves, and a lot of them haven't dealt with those issues and don't know how to deal with those issues. And then they try to help people because it makes them feel good, but the ways they're helping people aren't necessarily ways that benefit the other person. Yeah, so just be careful on that. Get a lot of referrals, but ideally, it's like you don't want to necessarily rely on somebody else. You need to rely on yourself to find the knowledge that's true. Because no one's really going to put the effort into your life like you will. She says, I'm worried I am sabotaging a potentially great relationship due to my anxiety and insecurity. Maybe. Sabotaging often comes from a belief that we won't succeed or it never works out. And so we put ourselves in situations where it doesn't. It fulfills that belief. But then again, a healthy relationship wouldn't be causing me so much stress and overthinking. What are your thoughts? Does everyone struggle with this to some degree, or does this seem so severe? I should just be focusing on myself and my own mental health. Well, I think like in most cases that should be your default, is focusing on that and always improving your mental health, improving your mental strength and fortitude and awareness. But with the details you're giving me, you're not giving me very many details about, how he's really responding. You're really just saying, you have some good dates and then some bad dates, and then sometimes he doesn't text you back for like 12 hours. I realize I need to be more communicative with him and not the internet, but it helps to just type things out. Yeah, another thing you mentioned earlier was like how you're trying to communicate. Well, it wasn't making you feel understood. And so just be aware that men talk more directly, and so they're not going to really pick up on hints. Um, like how a lot of women communicate. And so they might have good intentions, but they just don't know that women test or women hint to thinking that you can figure out these meanings yourselves. And that's what a lot of relationships come down to, is a communication factor. And what you'll also notice in situations and dynamics of communication between men and women is men often want to be, if you have a feeling of respect and success and importance, and women often want a feeling of love and connection. And so they'll solve situations or problems in ways that they would solve them in themselves. So they'll try to, if there's a problem, they'll try to solve, or relieve the problem or tension with acts of love towards guys, when really what they need is a sense of importance or respect. And then vice versa, guys will often, try to communicate a sense of respect to women when really they need a sense of love. And my perspective is that, love and respect are both, well, seemingly the same thing, just interpreted in different ways between men and women. And understanding these interpretations is really one of the biggest keys to communicating in a relationship.